They emerged into the light, Rachel's hand in his. The alley outside the game store looking almost mundane after the chaos they had just endured. Rachel's eyes searched his, the gravity of their victory etched upon her face. "We did it," she whispered, her voice filled with awe and relief. But their victory was short-lived. The sound of a child's laughter pierced the silence, and they turned to see a young boy, no more than 10, standing before them, holding a dusty Super NES cartridge. "What's on that?" Rachel asked, her voice tight with fear. The boy looked up, his eyes a cold, digital blue. "You've done well, but you've only just begun," he said, his voice the same as the demonic Mario's. "This is just the start of the game." And with a chilling laugh, the cartridge in his hand began to pulse with an eerie light. "You can't destroy us all," the boy sneered before vanishing into the night, leaving Brandon and Rachel to stare at the game in his hand. Super Mario World, a game they had never seen before, but one that seemed all too familiar. Their hearts pounding in their chests, they knew the battle was far from over. The game had new players now, and it was eager for more souls to claim. Rachel gripped Brandon's hand tighter, her resolve unshaken. "We're going to need a bigger weapon," she murmured. They returned to their apartment, the weight of their new mission pressing down on them. Rachel searched through her bag, pulling out a notepad filled with scribbled notes and addresses. "We have leads on more of these cursed games," she said, her voice grim. "We can't rest until we've found and destroyed them all." Brandon nodded, his mind racing with the horrors they had seen and the fear of what was to come. He knew that Rachel was right. They had to finish what they had started. They had to ensure that no one else suffered the same fate as Mike and the others. Their vacation plans forgotten, they set to work, preparing themselves for the battles ahead. Rachel's empathy grew stronger with each passing day, allowing her to sense the game's presence, while Brandon honed his skills in combat, ready to face whatever nightmares the digital world threw at them. Their lives had been forever changed by the cursed cartridges, their fate now intertwined with the very fabric of the games they had once loved. They were no longer just gamers. They were warriors in a digital war, fighting for the souls of the lost and the sanity of the living. And as they ventured forth into the shadowy world of the cursed games, they carried with them the memory of Mike and the promise that his sacrifice would not be in vain. They would fight to the very end, together, against the malicious force that had invaded their reality. Their journey was fraught with danger, each game more twisted and malevolent than the last. They encountered game worlds that bled into the streets, creatures that whispered dark secrets, and traps that tested their very sanity. But through it all, they remained unyielding, driven by love and loss. In the end, it was Rachel's empathy that proved to be their most powerful weapon. As they approached the final boss fight, she reached out to the trapped souls, her voice a beacon of hope in the digital void. The souls, once powerless, now rallied behind them, their collective energy forming a barrier against the game's dark power. With the barrier in place, Brandon faced the final form of the game's demonic overlord, a towering figure with Mario's face, twisted into a grotesque snarl of pure malice. Rachel stood by his side, the shotgun loaded with the last of the poison mushrooms. The battle was fiercer than any they had encountered before, the room pulsing with digital fire as the two of them fought back to back. Rachel fired round after round into the creature, each shot weakening it slightly, while Brandon used his hammer to keep it at bay. With a final, desperate roar, the demon lunged at Rachel, but she was ready. She shoved the barrel of the gun into its gaping maw, and the mushroom-filled chamber echoed with the deafening sound of the shot. The creature's body convulsed, its digital flesh sizzling and popping as the toxic energy surged through it. Its laughter grew weaker, the light in its eyes dimming as it staggered back. "You think you've won?" it croaked, the malice in its voice fading. "This isn't a game," Brandon said, panting and sweaty. "You don't get to win." The creature looked down at its body, the pixels now fading to black. It reached out a shaking hand to touch the wound, and its fingers passed right through. Rachel's plan had worked. The game was losing its grip on reality. As the creature dissipated into the digital ether, the room grew still, the whispers of the trapped souls fading away. The air grew warm, and the light in the room returned to normal. Rachel and Brandon stood there, their hearts racing, the taste of victory bittersweet in their mouths. They looked at each other, the gravity of what they had just done sinking in. It was over. The game's hold on reality had been broken, the demonic presence exorcised from their lives. They had saved countless souls from an eternity of torment, and for a moment, all seemed right in the world. But as they stepped out into the night, the silence was shattered by the distant sound of a game console powering up. Rachel's grip on Brandon's hand tightened, her eyes wide with a newfound terror. "It's not over," she whispered. "It's just starting." The digital whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices that seemed to be coming from every direction. They had defeated the demon, but the game itself remained, a malevolent force that could never truly be destroyed. They knew that there would be more battles to fight, more cursed cartridges to find and destroy. Their lives had taken a dark turn, one they never could have anticipated. Yet, in the face of the horror, they had found each other, a bond forged in the fires of digital hell. They were no longer just a couple of friends. They were a team, united against a common enemy. The whispers grew to a crescendo, the air around them crackling with unseen energy. Rachel's empathy tingled, a warning of danger close at hand. They had to move, to find the next game before it could claim more victims. With renewed determination, they set off into the night, the glow of the moon guiding their way. Their quest had only just begun, the battle against the cursed game stretching out before them like a never-ending maze of pixels and fear. They had no map, no guide, only their wits and their will to survive. But as they walked away from the alley, their shadows long on the pavement, they knew that together, they could conquer any nightmare the digital world threw at them.